Hi everyone and welcome back to the dannphan Chan. Today we are reviewing another manga series. Tomo-Chan is a girl. Now some of you might already recognize this series because recently there was an anime adaptation that came out based around it. Before that, I make my own comics. Perhaps you would like to check them out. My newest comic is called It's Not Like Getting a Job Will Kill You. It's a one-shot comedy, easy to read. It's available digital right now and will be available physical soon. February 1st, you can get a physical copy of this wonderful comic, so by all means, please check it out. Links in the description. So the very basic idea behind this is she was a girl, Tomo, and he was a boy. Believe it or not, it was a webcomic. Yes, not originally a manga series. Originally it was a webcomic on Twitter of all places from the account Twayan, and then it got serialized into a manga series, 8 volumes. It's finished, but now we're getting the anime adaptation. Naturally, I could just watched the anime and given you like my first impressions on how the series is, or I could just read the entire manga series and tell you what my overall thoughts are, rather than just what's out of the anime so far. A couple people were recommending this to me, naturally, because I do like my rom-coms, and this has a pretty strong rom-com premise. When they were little kids, they used to be friends, and for whatever reason, Tomo used to dress like a boy, act like a boy, she had like a very short haircut, she looked like a boy. Nothing that was a really huge tell that she was a girl, and so June assumed she was a boy throughout like their whole childhood. And it wasn't until recently, now attending, I think it's high school that they're attending, that he realizes, oh, she was a girl this whole time. The way that he's kind of dealt with that is just by continuing to treat her as a boy. But here's the thing, Tomo has a huge crush on June, and she has tried to confess to him, but he just doesn't get it. It just goes over his head. She says that she loves him, and he's like, haha, I love you too, bro. He still kind of sees her as being one of the boys, rather than seeing her as a girl, as a possible love interest. The basic hook around the plot of the series is Tomo trying to get June to see her as a girl, trying to act more feminine in certain scenarios, trying to like earn his affection romantically, of course. I kind of like that. I like the premise of this series. It's kind of funny. Overall, the message that they're going for this series is that tomboys are hella hot, and if you want a guy to like you, you should just be yourself, of course. Everything that you see in the series is kind of just leading up to that point that, you should just be yourself instead of trying to act like something that you're not. Which is fine. Tomboys are hella hot, aren't they? I do gotta say, my voice is super cracked there. What am I, a guy going through puberty? I do gotta say, there are parts of this series that are incredibly average, at best. I mean, you can basically make a checklist of things that you just expect to see in any rom-com series, and you'll find it here. You had the beach episode, you got the school play, you got a train molester. You always gotta get the train molester in there somewhere, because that's how you get the guy to step in and act manly. You got the summer festival. What even is high school anime without the summer festival? I don't really mind a lot of these tropes being included in rom-coms. I just kind of wish that they did something a little bit more unique with them to make it feel different each time it gets thrown in there, and it doesn't really entertain me anymore because most of the time I'm just I already know what to expect from it, and Tomo-Chan doesn't really do too much unique with a lot of these average, typical rom-com cliches thrown in. You'd think that it would, but There's also a couple of weird things in Tomo-Chan. I thought about maybe I should do a spoiler warning before this, but then it occurs to me, maybe people want to know this before they actually get into reading it. Maybe this is a trigger warning for some people. Not even really that far into the series, they add something in a little weird that they kinda just didn't have to add in. So one of the characters that Tomo befriends, another girl character that she befriends, she goes to her house one day and meets her mother. Her mother states that she's quite young, Tomo does the math. Based on the math, it would imply that her mother had the baby at 13 years old. And at first I thought, okay, that's kind of funny. So they're doing a joke about how the mother's lying about her age to seem younger than she really is. Because that is, like, a thing that women are known for doing. They're too embarrassed to admit that they're old, so they always say, oh, I'm 29. Forever 29. They actually doubled down on this. She had the baby when she was 13 in Britain, where I think you'd get shot for that. Yeah, they actually even included a flashback sequence to when she was dating the guy that she had said baby with. If it makes you feel any better, the guy was only 16, but he had no idea that she was 13 because he just never asked her age. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. dannphan, we don't want to hear about this. I don't want to hear about this. This isn't why I read manga. When people ask me, why do you really like this manga series? I'm not thinking, oh, because it has a 13-year-old that got pregnant. No, that's not what I'm thinking. I would prefer this stuff out of the manga series. I would prefer just no weirdness whatsoever. And it kind of seems to not have a purpose. Like, if it were a joke, then it would at least be funny, but it's not funny if it's real. So getting to the ending, if you do want the ending spoiled for you, I kind of prefer myself to hear the ending just to know that a rom-com or whatever I'm looking into has a happy ending. This one does have a happy ending. Tomo and Jun do eventually get together, albeit I kind of feel like how they get together was a little bit soured by a decision that the writer made, which I assume was a decision to just make another joke, but once again, it's just like the joke fell flat. Eventually, Jun realizes that he's in love with Tomo. He goes to, confess to her on the roof, and he's like, well, I already know how you feel about me, but here's how I feel about you. And she's like, what do you mean you already know how I feel about you? And that's when he reveals that one time, all the way at the beginning of the manga series, when she confessed, he actually understood. It never went over his head. He understood that she was confessing to him, and this entire time he's just been pretending that he didn't hear her, just pretending that he didn't understand, so that he wouldn't have to give her an answer. But now that he's had a year or so to wrap his head around it, now he's decided that he wants to date her. So that's a little bit messed up. I don't really like that twist. It kind of makes him seem an asshole to just pretend so that he doesn't have to give her an answer, yes or no, whether or not he wants to date her until, he's had time to mull it over. It kind of reminds me of this one scene in this movie based on another anime series, Tamako Love Story. Basically, something similar happens where the guy confesses to the girl, and the girl doesn't give him an answer, and then, pretends that she never heard the confession. She doesn't acknowledge it at all. And then the next day, she, tries to pretend that everything's normal, that they're still friends. And she's, walking to school with him, and she still just won't acknowledge it. It drives him absolutely mad, so there's just this one scene where he's walking to school with her, and he just, runs out of the way, runs over to, the river or something, and she's, up on the bridge, and she looks at him, and he just screams. Pure fucking rage and frustration, he just screams. Yeah, that's how I kind of feel about this. It's one thing if you're just dense and you didn't understand, because then she's like, oh, well, it was my fault. I need to make it more clear to him. But if it was clear the whole time and he's just not giving her an answer because I don't know, guess he just doesn't think that she's worth his time to give an answer, that's where it gets to the fucked up territory. It's obviously something that the writer put in there because they thought it was funny. They thought it would be a good twist if he understood this whole entire time, but just pretended that he didn't get it. At least for me, it felt not in good taste. They do go on a date, and this was probably the best chapter in the whole manga series, in my opinion. It's the only point in time where I felt like, okay, I'm enjoying myself. Now that they're together, I'm actually, I kind of let go. I'm like, yeah, now it's just a cute romance story. I like them making each other happy. It's good stuff. And then, of course, they have to ruin it by ending the Christmas date by June saying that they're not dating yet.
Say what?
Excuse me, what? Because the author had the idea of including this other plot line where June has to fight her father to prove that he's good enough to date her. Maybe that would be funny if Tomo's father got more screen time or was a little bit more into the story. He's kind of more of a background character, especially in comparison to like the other side characters. But I guess he cares, and I guess he wants to fight June to make sure that he's man enough. I felt like that plot thread was not built up properly, and it just fell flat. I don't think that it's a terrible series. I just think that it's painfully average. And I think that the premise is really the best part about it. At the same time, there's just a lot of other manga out there, a lot of other better romantic comedy mangas that would probably be more worth your time. Anyways, those are kind of just my thoughts. Let me know your own thoughts down below in the comments section. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time, but till then, bye!
Program restart.